Good evening, everybody. I'm Scott Binsack. It's December 3rd, 2017. Tonight, I'm going to be going over current and world news from December 1st through the 3rd. A lot has been going on around the world, and most people have been paying attention to political BS at home. Many have. Many are caught up in the left and the right, and most people do not understand that there are not thousands of indictments against Hillary Clinton at all. Sadly, there should be, but there's not. And that there is a constitutional crisis brewing in this country, and it's going to get ugly, much uglier, as the world also changes with environmental changes, planetary changes, and the like. People must learn to survive. They must understand what is real and what is not. Sadly, about 10% of this country is caught up in that far left and or far right and threatened civil war and all the above. In reality, there will be no civil war if Donald Trump gets impeached or resigns. Sadly, sorry to say, there's hundreds of other million people in this country who want no part of that, who care about their kids and their jobs and their homes and don't get caught up in the political bullshit. However, there is word from my sources and others reporting, as I reported last week, that there is something big brewing at home with private military contractors and security who would watch over police and like groups like Blackwater at all. And they are hiring and they are being told to gear up. And it's not for overseas, it is for home. It is on our sovereign soil. And I tell you all to be prepared because something is a brewing. And it's quite big. And no, it's not the roundup of Hillary Clinton at all. Okay, sorry. And yes, there's lots of pedophilia arrests going on, which is great, and human trafficking stuff, which is great. But it is not of that sort. I also am sensing, and I'm using the word sensing because every time I start to see the numbers 11, 11, 11, 111 or 1111 and 1016, and it's popping again, and has been popping for the past 4 or 5 days. So when I start to see that, that's when I reported on what I believe was going to happen from October 1st to the 16th, and then we had the Vegas shooting. Something else is coming, and it's going to be a terror-type attack, the like. Around the world, things are much different, and most is not being shown that at home or paying attention to that because mainstream media is pumping all this, either Trump or Hillary stuff, whether it be you watch Fox or CNN or whatever, whoever you watch. They're pumping either side. Either side, follow this, follow that. This is that. Oh well. I'd rather stay in tune to what's really going on in the world and at home and things that matter. Like the massive uptick in earthquakes, volcanoes, bizarre weather patterns, anomalies by our sun. What's going on in the Middle East with Israel going after Iran, the Saudis going after Iran, and them negotiating a Palestinian state that Saudi Arabia would back, as Jared Kushner's doing right now. As well as what's going on in North Korea, as there's action that Kim is getting ready to do another, either missile test and or nuclear test. So I want to run through what's going on around the world that started with December 1st to current.
United States will hold a joint Air Force drill next week involving almost 230 aircraft. The regular exercise is called Vigilant Ace, and it was planned before the North's latest missile launch. But coming so soon after, it'll likely involve a bigger show of force than ever before. Oh Jung-hee reports.
U.S. strategic assets are arriving in South Korea for an annual joint Air Force drill called Vigilant Ace next week. The airborne exercise is set to mobilize 12,000 U.S. personnel and almost 230 aircraft. 6 F-22 Raptor stealth fighter jets are to be deployed starting Saturday, and all 6 jets will fly over South Korea simultaneously for the first time in the history of the joint drill. F-22 jets are equipped with full stealth capabilities, meaning that they can infiltrate North Korean airspace undetected and destroy key nuclear and missile facilities. 12 F-35B jets will also be deployed. The presence of the F-22 Raptor and the F-35B fighters is expected to put maximum pressure on North Korea, as both aircraft can reach Pyongyang in only 10 minutes if they depart from Osan Air Base, located 64 kilometers south of Seoul, and in 20 minutes from Kunsan Air Base in Jeollabuk-do Province. In addition to these two, 6 F-35A stealth fighter jets also arrived in South Korea last week, and B-1B bombers are expected to take part in the drill as well. South Korea's defense ministry says the joint exercise will focus on striking facilities and moving targets in North Korea, as well as countering possible North Korean invasions by sea and air. This year's Vigilant Ace comes in less than a week after Pyongyang launched an ICBM, so it's expected to be carried out amid high tensions on the peninsula. Seoul also plans to coordinate with Washington to have U.S. strategic assets deployed on a rotational basis until the end of the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. Oh Jung-hee, Arirang News.
North Korea's missile launch on Wednesday now confirmed to be their most sophisticated to date. Defense officials from the U.S. and South Korea confirming the missile was an ICBM, capable of delivering a 2,200-pound payload to virtually any point in the continental...
Stop. I can say 1,000% that North Korea cannot strike the United States. You want to know why? Just as Russia's saying, but nobody seems to be listening, North Korea does not have a re-entry vehicle, nor have they ever tested one. Right? In order for an ICBM to do any damage, after it drops, as it comes through space and it drops, it has to be able to withstand re-entry. They have not tested that at all. So, everybody who's getting, and just so you know, the United States has decided to deploy the THAAD missile system to California and make it active in California, allegedly to stop North Korea if they were to send off an ICBM to the United States. So now you're going to have the THAAD activated in key locations in California. Okay. That's just what we need, is the THAAD activated in California. Point being, all of these assets are F-35s, which don't work very well, just so you all know, and cost billions of dollars. Do you know what all these drills are costing the United States in money? All of our assets, a majority of our assets are pushed over there in South Korea and North Korea, and then the rest are in the Middle East. And home is like whatever, okay? Oh boy is right. So they want you to believe that North Korea, yes, can one of their missiles reach the United States per this last test? Yes. However, they're leaving out one part. Not an armed one. So instead, they got people running nutty, believing that Kim can reach Washington, D.C. with a missile. Wonderful. But if it's not armed and it re-enters, it's going to do nothing. And that's the serious part of an ICBM. So, again, this is a major fear factor to get people to live in fear. And many are even turning to you know, like crazy shit. I don't believe North Korea is going to strike the United States. Please pay attention to what I'm saying to you. North Korea does not want to end up like Libya. Do you know what happened to Gaddafi when Gaddafi got nuclear missiles and decided to print gold certificated money and pull away from the dollar in trading oil? Do you know what happened to Gaddafi and Libya? They got destroyed. He got murdered. Our ambassador got murdered, and we ended up with Benghazi as well, thanks to Obama and Hillary Clinton et al., i.e. the powers that be. Syria, Iraq, same things. North Korea. Kim would never strike out unless he knew he was being struck in. Kim knows if he were to send off an armed nuclear missile, that not only would the United States, but others blast him, and there would be nothing left of the Korean Peninsula. That's a fact. So he's not stupid, Kim, you see. And he has a point, if you think about it. Kim has a point. The United States, with the New World Order powers that be, the Rothschild regime, backed with Israel, United Kingdom, have invaded and destroyed countries by either putting in CIA-created puppet presidents, creating situations, Libya, Iraq, Syria, we're in Yemen, Venezuela. I mean, we could go on and on and on. So if you think about, Kim may be this evil regime leader, but Kim is not stupid, and Kim does not want to end up like Muammar Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein. And that's his point. And everybody goes, just blow that fucker off the map. You got to love these kind of people. Just blow that fucker off the map, right? No, what about the millions of other people who have nothing to do with Kim on both South Korea and North Korea? The North Korean people don't know any better. They've been locked behind walls their whole life. They've been fed nothing but propaganda their whole life. So these innocent people and children, because of one madman, who really, so let's just say he could get one nuclear missile that he could get into the atmosphere with that can re-enter. Do you think he's going to really use it? Think about this. He knows if he were to use that or set it off, he would be completely destroyed. Completely. Like and utterly. And you got to ask yourself another question. How come we haven't been shooting down his missiles and his missile tests and or interfering with them? Why? Because we want him to keep doing them, because it's just keeps feeding that military-industrial complex and the great fear factor in that of, let's go to World War III. Let's do the possibility of going to World War III. This is what happens to Americans. They get fed this crap every day. North Korea. Kim sets off another one. Yeah, the guy's a dangerous guy. But he's not stupid. Sorry to tell you. He's a well-educated man. High-end schools, Europe, and the like. He's not stupid. Shock and awe. Yeah, McMaster. I'm going to tell you something about McMaster. I'm actually going to be doing a show on McMaster. I've decided, because I know McMaster is the New World Order handler for Trump. Okay? One of the main ones. Council of Foreign Relations is New World Order. That's it. They are the Rothschild New World Order regime, and they run the world, the Council of Foreign Relations. McMaster. Dangerous dude. And if it was up to him, he'd nuke the whole world and let it all fall, because that's what they want. Him, McCain, the rest of them, okay? Joe Lieberman, he is one of the main. He is the front man for the Rothschilds in the United States, Joe Lieberman. That's a fact. John McCain's best friend.
United States.
외형등을 고려 시
If it were fired at a normal angle, it would be capable of flying over 8,000 miles. That means it can reach Washington, D.C.
And on Friday, signs emerged that another test could be underway soon with the construction of a new launch pad. It's a big step forward for the North Korean military, which has pressed on with its missile and nuclear programs despite the Trump administration's attempts to isolate the North diplomatically and economically.
That maximum pressure campaign is our top national security priority here. Nations continue to get on board and support that.
If North Korea does launch against the U.S., one likely target is Hawaii. Officials there taking the threat seriously, testing a newly revamped air raid warning system on Friday. Tourists and residents say they think it's a good idea, given the unpredictability of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
He seems somewhat unstable, and because of that, I think precautions should be taken.
It's concerning. I feel a little bit like it's out of my hands.
South Korean officials say at the rate that they are progressing, North Korea could have a viable arsenal of nuclear missiles ready by the middle of next year. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
It's rare for the Northeast to be rattled by an earthquake, but
Pay
it happened
attention.
yesterday, just after 4:45 p.m. Did you guys feel it?
Nope.
My whole life is an earthquake, to be honest.
I didn't feel it either. The 4.1 magnitude quake was centered near Dover, Delaware. It was
Try 5 and change. Okay? When it first hit, it's 5.5, almost 6, and they downgraded it, of course, right away. This is a serious event. This is a very rare event. Very rare. And as I said, and since I've been covering for a long time what's coming, and I said earthquakes are going to continue to get worse, and you'd see them in places that normally wouldn't be, you're going to see earthquakes really, really ramp up. And I want to make this clear. And people need to understand this. The government is not creating all these major earthquakes and volcanic eruptions with HAARP. Okay? It's impossible, just so you know. Okay? HAARP can create earthquakes, but not on this massive, massive scale. This is the planet going through a magnetic pole shift and sun anomalies going on because fully believe another planetary system in our system. And with the sun and its solar flares and eruptions, the Earth is going to keep getting waxed. And it's going to continue as the magnetic poles reverse themselves the opposite way. And NASA, believe it or not, with other world countries, leading countries, is working on trying to figure out how they can stop this magnetic shift. I'm not joking you. Okay? And that's news from me, meaning to you. And I'm waiting. I might be able to get the source from inside NASA if I change his voice to come on my show, and I'm working on that. Because serious people go, oh, the government can stop this at any time. No, these earthquakes, a lot of these major earthquakes, you're not going to be able to stop anything. And you want to talk about shake, rattling, and rolling? As well as, you notice CNN just did a very big story, and they did a very good story on the ice melt and how fast the ice is melting. Okay? And other channels are doing similar. Okay? And it has nothing to do with Al Gore's global warming. That's crap. It is warming, but it's not because of us. It's not because of CO2, none of the above. It's normal planetary changes going on, as well as the amount of radiation coming off our sun, and it's the nemesis with it is huge on this planet. We are being radiated, hence why they are chemtrailing so heavy. They are blocking radiation. A big part of it is blocking radiation. Chris, I'm going to say something, and this show's going public, so I'm going to say this, and I never mention members' names by last name. I want to make this comment here, and I'm not trying to interfere in this, but one of our members said Trump has either been blackmailed, paid off, or being lied to by McMaster. No, that's not true. I'm going to say something, and I'm putting my name on this. Donald Trump is not who you think he is. Donald Trump is quite dirty, okay? And I'll stand by it. I know Donald Trump. I know Donald Trump's family. I know his business dealings. I know his mafia dealings, okay? Not all of them, but a lot of information from the people I know in New York. And I'm going to tell you something. He is not who you think he is. And that's all I'm going to say. And as time goes on, people are going to find this out, especially when the information in his taxes becomes public. Please listen to what I'm telling you. And Mueller has him. Okay? And people can't say deep state or the Dems made up his tax return or his taxes that he's being audited for. Deep state can't say anything. Okay? Deep state can't say shit, or the left can't say shit, the far right can't say shit when people come and testify against Donald Trump and what happened and have already signed sworn affidavits under proffer agreements that has already been done. Wiretaps don't lie, okay? So all these people believing one thing are going to be sadly mistaken. I'm not going to say it again. I will never vote again in my life. Ever. The two-party system is corrupt. It divides. And is dangerous. And it creates complete diversion from the truth. And it's doing nothing for this country.
Was felt from Washington, D.C. to northern New York. No injuries or damages were reported, and Lonnie Quinn, chief weathercaster of our New York station WCBS, is here with more on the quake. Lonnie, did you feel it?
Not a shiver or a shake, nothing. This is the sort of earthquake that would have made chandeliers swing the closer you were to the epicenter. But let's talk about the whole thing, because, look, the East Coast gets earthquakes, but earthquakes of this magnitude are extremely rare. And when they do happen, they're often felt in an area more than 10 times larger than if a similar magnitude earthquake was to hit the West Coast. And the reason is the rock here in the East Coast is generally colder and it's more condensed. And that combination allows the energy to travel farther. Okay, so now we can talk about why the whole event was so rare. In California, you just heard from Vlad, there are tons and tons of earthquakes, right? Because the state lies on the San Andreas Fault. That's the most famous fault line. That's where two tectonic plates are overlapping, the North American plate and the Pacific plate. And those two plates, they move up to 2 inches a year, and there's this enormous amount of energy that builds up there. And when they move even a fraction of an inch, well, the stress that gets released can cause an earthquake. Meanwhile, here on the East Coast, it's got fault lines, sure, but it's in the center of that North American plate. And it is possible that this earthquake was the result of the movement of a long dormant fault line or the formation of a relatively new fault line. We just don't know, since there are far fewer.
Pay attention. Formation of a new fault line. And I'm going to go over a video when I'm done with the news to show you something. Because the North American plates are moving. Something big is moving. Okay? And as I tried to tell you, with a magnetic pole shift, you're going to see continents and the planet just boom. I'm going to mention something else while I'm on this news, and I'm going to say something. It doesn't matter if the left or the right goes down. There's 300 million plus Americans in the United States, and the political base makes up maybe 10% of that, of the left and the right. There will be no civil war in the United States on either side. Okay? There's going to be no civil war. That's a load of crap. Okay? A lot of people like to talk behind their computers and live in that alt reality of the internet. Just like Antifa in their last big event. Remember that? I told everybody it was BS and nothing would happen. Nothing happened. Big articles in the New York Times, all this propaganda. Nada. Some little mart things here and there. A couple isolated events. No big war on November 4th. Now, was there? No. Called that one right on the money, too. And boy, did I get hammered a week before that on Twitter and Facebook. You're crazy. Antifa's going to... I'm like, no, it's not happening. And it didn't happen. No Antifa war, no nada. Zero. Zilch. Some little isolated events. So please pay attention. Okay? And I called that one right on the money, too. And what any alt-writers really watching this, pay attention. You all, Antifa, Alex Jones, Antifa, Cernovich, Antifa, all of them. Antifa, November 4th is going to be a huge war. Zero. Got all these people all crazy for nothing. And if people would have listened to me, as I said, it was bullshit. And sure enough, nada. Just like there will not be a civil war in this country when Trump goes down and or Hillary goes down or the like. Not happening. Antifa, what? That's what I said the day. Antifa, what? More garbage, just like I'm telling you now. There's going to be no civil war because somebody sits behind their keyboard and goes, if Donald Trump goes down, there's going to be a civil war. Our guns are going to come out, and that's going to be it. No, it's not. You're going to sit behind your keyboard and go, look, see, I'm getting my gun. There's going to be civil war. Please, stop feeding into this garbage. Pay attention. This is real news. This is important shit that people should be paying attention to and what's going on around the world and at home in other matters. Not Antifa and civil war between the 10% of the left and the right that sits on Twitter and Facebook and goes, oh yes, and puts baseball fucking helmets on and football helmets and padding on and runs outside. They're a terrorist group now. Get the fuck out of here. I was there with these Antifa people down at some, I forgot whatever march it was, a while back. I was like, I looked at these dudes and I'm like, are you for real, man? I'm like, go home. Go home, man. Psst. Whoever brought these Antifa masks on, this bullshit, they aren't doing nada. They didn't do nada in their great big Soros alleged back war. Epic fail. And all the suckers that fell for it, epic fail. I sat back, said nada, while Jones and everybody else are making money on Antifa's coming. Nope. I'm like, I didn't even mention it. I said, you know what? Don't bother. Nothing's coming. Pay attention. Yikes.
Earthquakes here in the east.
Taliban gunmen disguised in burqas killed at least 9 people in an attack on an agricultural college in Peshawar, Pakistan. Peshawar's police chief said the attackers were dressed in burqas and arrived in auto rickshaws before storming the campus hostel on December 1st.
Auto rickshaws.
The attack coincided with the Islamic Eid Milad-un-Nabi holiday when many students were away for the weekend. The Pakistani Taliban has claimed responsibility for the attack, saying they were targeting a military intelligence safe house. Al Jazeera reports military and police forces killed all 4 attackers in a 2-hour operation. Meanwhile, area hospitals said at least 9 victims died in the attack and at least 35.
And no, it's not a fake attack. That's a real attack.
Were wounded. Peshawar was also the site of a Taliban attack on a military school in 2014 that killed 141 people, mostly children, and was one of the deadliest attacks in Pakistan's modern history. For United News International.
Churches are a soft target. I would feel safer if someone had a gun.
I don't think that it's necessary for you and me to carry guns.
The debate is heating up over whether guns should be allowed in churches, with daycares, or schools.
Right now, no one can carry a concealed weapon onto the grounds of those.
Pay attention. Here come the scanners going to be coming up. Just give it a few months. You're going to see them. Churches, schools, just like I told you, going to be putting in these scanners. Keep telling my board and officers, RMFA trading account. We just got approved for it, which is very hard to do for a corporate trading account. It's time to buy certain stocks because they're not going to go down. They're going to go way up. It's coming.
Those churches. NBC2's Dave Elias has the details on a new bill that would change that.
Yeah, Peter, under current law, in Florida, you can carry a gun into a church, but it's illegal if there is a daycare or school on the property. Now, State Representative Heather Fitzenhagen believes that makes them a soft target. She's introducing a bill that would give those churches the option. Lori Martis is a gun owner. She's one of those parents who supports concealed weapons on church grounds with daycares and schools.
Don't think I carry it into the building. I don't know, to tell you the truth. I don't know, I'm not sure. But I have no problem with anyone legally carrying a gun.
She realizes many parents may not like the idea.
I actually would feel safer if there was a gun to be had, and if something bad was about to happen and my daughter was in the church, I would feel safer if someone had a gun.
Right now, it's illegal, even if the daycare or school isn't open during Sunday worship.
We're sending out a big signal to people that want to hurt individuals that they can come into a church because no one there will have an opportunity to protect themselves.
State Representative Heather Fitzenhagen has introduced a bill that would change that.
It also gives the church an opportunity to have a protection force.
But not all ministers like the idea.
Have a what? A protection force. Okay, and part of the protection force will be scanners and the like, and then they can have now armed protection forces in churches, schools, everything. Just wait, it's coming.
Of their parishioners packing heat during Sunday services.
Don't think that it is the right way to fix the problems.
Father Lorenzo, pastor St. Columbkill Catholic Church.
Today, I don't see the necessity to continue holding this privilege that we say we have in America by the Constitution to carry guns.
Least of all in churches.
We have to find today new solutions for our problems.
Looking to a higher power to solve the problem. Now, not all churches allow guns. In fact, many have posted no guns allowed signs. And even if you have a concealed carry permit, you're not allowed by law to take your gun onto church property. Now, this bill would not change that. Live in the newsroom tonight, Dave Elias, NBC.
A busy market near Berlin is evacuated after police found a suspected bomb. Police said they cleared a large area in Potsdam Old Town Centre Friday afternoon, December 1st, after being notified of a suspicious object. The object in question was delivered to a pharmacy near the local Christmas market. A worker had opened it and found it stuffed with wires. Officials secured the area within 3 hours. Investigators said the cylindrical device was full of wires, nails and batteries, though it's unclear if it contained explosives or was a fake. Interior Minister Karl-Heinz Schroeter said an investigation is underway. Schroeter added that officials would continue searching the area for other similar packages. While German law enforcement urged civilians to remain calm, the country remains on high alert for terrorist activity. Last December, an attack on a Christmas market in Berlin left a dozen people dead.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau delivered a tearful apology to the country's LGBTQ community for historical injustices committed against them.
We were wrong. We apologize. I am sorry. We are sorry.
Trudeau's speech on November 28th addressed former Canadian laws that he called, quote, state-sponsored systematic oppression and...
Pay attention. Trudeau is actually a Clinton New World Order puppet. Very close with George Soros. Late last year, he signed with Soros to bring over 300,000 plus refugees in with George Soros et al. Just so everybody knows, they are flooding into Canada as we speak.
Rejection. From the 1950s through the 1990s, at least hundreds of gay men and women were fired from their government and military jobs. The BBC says that during the Cold War, the Canadian government believed gay employees could be blackmailed by the Soviets. They were interrogated about their sex lives and forced to turn in other LGBTQ employees. Trudeau called the Canadian government's campaign against the LGBTQ community a, quote, witch hunt. Trudeau also proposed a bill that would allow courts to expunge the record of people criminalized for their sexuality. For United News International.
Ballistic missile. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was speaking to journalists in the Belarusian capital, Minsk. He said the U.S. policy of ramping up sanctions in North Korea to roll back Pyongyang's missile and nuclear programs was not working. His comments come after a speech by the U.S. envoy at the UN Security Council. Nikki Haley urged all nations to, quote, cut diplomatic and trade ties with North Korea in the wake of the country's latest ballistic missile test.
North Korea test-fired a new type of intercontinental ballistic missile on Tuesday, saying it could target the entire US mainland. In a statement, Pyongyang said the new missile was significantly more powerful than the previous one it had tested. It further added that its weapons were meant to defend its sovereignty and territoriality in the face of the US threats. The test fire drew quick and widespread condemnations, and the UN Security Council convened an emergency meeting upon a request from the US, Japan, and South Korea.
And nothing happened.
Addressing the Council, the US envoy called on all nations to cut diplomatic and trade ties with North Korea. She also threatened to destroy Pyongyang if a war broke out.
Oh, yeah.
If war does come, it will be because of continued acts of aggression like we witnessed yesterday. And if war comes, make no mistake, the North Korean regime will be utterly destroyed.
Oh, that's wonderful.
The Russian ambassador, however, urged diplomatic means to resolve the crisis.
This is precisely the approach that was proposed by Russia and China in their joint statement of the 4th of July, when they proposed a roadmap of a gradual move toward a settlement starting with the principle of suspension for suspension, which envisions the DPRK stopping missile and nuclear tests, while at the same time the US and South Korea decreasing the scale of their military exercises.
China's deputy UN ambassador also noted that the top priority on the Korean peninsula is for all parties to show restraint and try to resume negotiations to end the tensions. Meanwhile, as world leaders are calling for an end to North Korea's missile and nuclear activities, some experts say Pyongyang's missile program will continue as long as it feels threatened by the US.
The world community needs to look at the bigger picture here, and that is that the North Korean government feels that its survival is being threatened. It truly believes that. And it looks at the historical precedents, the recent historical precedents of Libya and Iraq, and firmly states the position that it is not going to be deterred from its pursuit of weapons that it can use to defend itself.
Pyongyang, over the past months, has conducted several ballistic missile tests in defiance of international sanctions. However, as a war of words between North Korea and the US and its allies drags on, this is the fate of the people that remains at stake as a result of this saber rattling.
During an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council, the United States once again threatened North Korea with total destruction if war comes.
We have never sought war with North Korea, and still today, we do not seek it. If war does come, it will be because of continued acts of aggression.
We just heard
like
that,
we
lady.
witnessed yesterday. And if war comes, make no mistake, the North Korean regime will be utterly destroyed.
No kidding.
Russia responded by asking for a drawdown of threats, while China argued that the stronger sanctions
Why are you
demanded
repeating
by
yourself?
Washington should reflect,
Yikes.
says, years of an armed conflict. Seoul from Seoul National University suggest the Olympic spirit may create momentum toward dialogue, with the Winter Games slated for February here in South Korea. Frank Smith, Press TV, Seoul.
Hey everyone, it's Dina Calmetta here, and welcome back to CWW7 News. For today's broadcast, I wanted to bring you guys a short review of some of the headlines that have occurred within the last few days in regards to the United States and North Korea, as well as China and Russia, and also Israel and Iran. But I'd first like to start with this report from RT News, and the headline reads, Senior Russian diplomat warns of apocalyptic outcome of North Korean crisis. Here's that report. A Russian deputy foreign minister has said that the current nuclear missile crisis on the Korean peninsula could end in an apocalyptic scenario, and called upon direct talks between Washington and North Korea to prevent that outcome. He said, to my regret, I have to say that there is an apocalyptic scenario for the developments of events in this region. I hope that the regional community will have enough common sense to prevent this scenario from becoming a reality. He also also called upon senior officials in South Korea and the United States to exhale and start talks with North Korea over increasing tension. The Sun is reporting that Russia has stated that Donald Trump is provoking North Korea into nuclear war and is moving missiles onto Moscow's doorstep. Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, also said that Donald Trump's administration was effectively trying to turn Japan and South Korea into American military bases to host missiles on Russia's doorstep. Speaking in Moscow, the 67-year-old said, "We are alarmed that in the last 2 months, when North Korea conducted no Tesla rocket launches, it seemed that Washington was not happy about that and tried to do things that would irritate and provoke North Korea." The Russian diplomat, a key ally of Russian President Putin, was referring to joint military exercises the U.S. military had conducted with their allies in Tokyo and South Korea that saw 3 American aircraft carriers lead drills in waters surrounding the Korean peninsula. He added, "It's as if they are hoping that the North Koreans will lash out again, and then it would be possible to engage in military options." He also said that he thought the U.S. was using their confrontation with North Korea as a cover-up to build up military forces in East Asia, which include weapons that form part of the country's missile defense shield. He stated, "We are..."
Boom! End game. Iran, Russia. End game. Russia, Iran. End game. Russia, Iran. Pay attention. Not North Korea.
Are expressing deep concern with facts to back it up that Japan, along with South Korea, is becoming a territory for the deployment of elements of the U.S. global missile defense system, which is being rolled out in the region under the pretext of the North Korean threat. He made the comments at a press conference in Moscow with Japan's foreign minister, who defended his country's ties to the U.S. and its stance towards North Korea. Express News is reporting that North Korea is set for a missile launch in next few days, warns Japan. North Korea has been threatening another launch following a series of provocative tests earlier this year. 2 missiles flew directly over Japanese territory, terrifying citizens and sparking a round of worldwide condemnations and sanctions. And now the despot Kim Jong-un could be set for yet another test, despite ever-strengthening warnings from his Western rivals. One Japanese diplomat warned today radio signals detected from the hermit state indicated another test is close. Japan's news agency said the detection had been confirmed by government officials. One official told him there is a possibility of missile launches in the next few days. They said the test could be part of North Korea's Army's winter training regime. It comes after a former U.S. admiral admitted he was scared to death by the situation on the peninsula. Mike Mullen said it's still a very difficult place to know what's going on. I think Kim Jong-un is really working hard to achieve the nuclear capability, and I think he'll get there short of some deterrence. When asked whether nuclear weapons will be used, Mr. Mullen replied, "I don't know. I think it's more probable than it used to be, and it scares me to death, quite frankly." The Sun is also reporting that Russian President Putin has unveiled his Navy's most powerful nuclear submarine, which can easily outgun its American rival. The submarine is capable of launching 16 intercontinental ballistic missiles, which can lay waste to cities up to 5,778 miles away. Although its U.S. counterpart, the Ohio-class sub, is armed with 24 ICBMs, they only have a range of 4,846 miles and can't plunge to the same radar-dodging depths. Russia's nuclear-powered Borei A-class sub has the ability to dive about 400 meters, making it hard to detect by sonar. Russia now plans to build a total of 8 of the super subs by 2025. Putin is spending double the amount on defense than Britain is, says Defense Secretary Sir Michael Fallon. And earlier this year, the First Sea Lord said the Royal Navy was facing its greatest challenge from Russian subs and warships since the Cold War. A senior Russian defense industry official stated that the main purpose of the underwater interceptor is to protect groups of ballistic missile-carrying submarines and to battle with enemy submarines. Moscow has been steadily building up and modernizing its military forces as global tensions threaten to pull Putin into a devastating war with North Korea. Earlier this week, he stated the ability of our economy to increase military production and services at a given time is one of the most important aspects of military security. And Russia isn't the only one building up their military. Newsweek is reporting that China has tested a 10-warhead missile that can strike anywhere in the world for a possible deployment in 2018. It goes on further to state that North Korea isn't the only country in Asia testing intercontinental ballistic missiles. Its neighbor China, which the U.S. has urged to pressure North Korea to give up its nuclear weapons program, is deploying one of its own. The People's Liberation Army of China is adding the next generation intercontinental ballistic missile to its lineup, primarily to show off its growing military clout and because it lags far behind the number of nuclear weapons the U.S. owns. Called Dongfeng 41, the missile has a 12,000-kilometer range, meaning it could strike anywhere on the globe from mainland China and can carry nearly a dozen nuclear warheads at
A dozen. One time.
It has a top speed of more than Mach 10. It can carry
It's the
up to
fastest
10
nuclear weapon on the
warheads,
planet.
each of which can target separately. Once the Dongfeng 41 goes into service, China's ability to protect its own safety and to prevent wars would greatly increase. It goes on even further to state that the missile can use decoy devices with the ability to cut through the enemy's defense systems, and that the official deployment could take place in the first half of next year. It is also being reported that Chinese nuclear bombers are on 24/7 alert amid growing World War fears. Here's that report. Warplane pilots and crew in China have been told to be combat ready at all times after a fleet of jets flew over the South China Sea. Bombers with the ability to carry nuclear arms flew over the disputed region on Thursday as China continues to clash with the United States. China's military boasted that the flyover proved that they could breach the disputed First Island chain. Chinese officials failed to confirm how many planes were involved in the drill. However, the planes can fly at speeds of up to 656 miles per hour. China currently has 15 of these planes in service since they were deployed in 2009. U.S. warships, including the aircraft carriers USS Ronald Reagan, the USS Nimitz, and the USS Theodore Roosevelt, are currently on exercise in the region. Chinese military observers said that the drill was a display of Beijing's new 24/7 doctrine following tensions in the region. He said the PLA is stepping up joint operation combat training as the Chinese president ordered them to be combat ready at all times. The Air Patrol also aimed at showing the PLA Air Force is ready to join with the Navy in the high sea.
Pay attention. China, Russia. China has the fastest ICBM on the planet. One missile can split into 10. Deliver 10 nuclear warheads. Boom. And send out deflectors so it will avoid, most of them will avoid missile defense systems. And I'm going to give you an inside scoop. Our missile defense system hardly works, just so you all know. That one test that they did, I know for a fact, and if you do your homework, they're very concerned because it doesn't work very well. While everything else is going on, China is the new superpower, not us. And by end of next year, they will be the superpower with Russia. Russia's one new nuclear submarine, that's amazing. Our shit, we spend billions and billions on it, it doesn't work. Just so you know that. As opposed to what Russia builds and what China builds. Because why? We're the industrial military complex. Keep spending billions on one airplane with tons of computerized shit. And the pilots, just so you know, I can tell you that from pilots, firsthand. It's a nightmare. And they're scared to go up in these aircraft because they fail. And the computers fail. And the helmets that follow their vision and to maneuver, fail. Fact. People are wearing blinders to what's going on here. Okay? You don't see this being crossed all over Fox or CNN or anywhere. Pay attention. China. And it is propheticized, my word, that prophesied that China will rise. And China is rising quickly. And they have supersonic, just so you know, supersonic nuclear ICBMs. And space weapons. So does Russia. Russia's already has a full space force, military force. Russia's MiGs, just so you know, as of the beginning of 2019, end of next year, Russia's MiGs will be able to fly remote controlly as well as and/or with a pilot into space and back. Just like our stealth bombers can. Don't kid yourself. Our stealth bombers go to space and come back, no problem. Russia's MiGs able to do the same, but with no pilot. That's what the MiG Corporation is working on. And people are worried about all this other stuff. Did you see our hardware? No disrespect. Our ICBMs that we have in the ground here in the United States are so old. When they test them, the fuel that comes out is the dust that, the exhaust that comes out is black. Complete black. They're sitting there with old floppy disks. Okay? And our submarine class, nothing. And you can blame Obama for that, just so you all know. We can blame 8 years of Obama on that one, and that's Obama's fault. That's a fact. Why our military is in the condition it is, that's Obama's fault. That's not Trump's fault. That's Obama's fault. And I'm telling you, we are provoking North Korea deliberately. I tell you, I fully believe that Trump wants this war. You cannot impeach a president if he's at war. Just saying. Russia, China don't want no world order. They will not put up with it. The Russians kicked out the Rothschilds in their banking system right after World War II. That's a fact. Boom, to the curb. Pack your shit. And Putin is a straight gangster. Trust what I tell you. Putin's a gangster. But you know what? At least Putin's got nuclear bunkers and runs tests for his citizens of up to saving 1 million Russians. The United States has no bunkers for its citizens. Pay attention to that. So the communist country that we don't like, okay, has bunkers and runs drills to protect its citizens and can save about 1 million people. But the United States has really zero for its citizens, but has lots of bunkers and underground bases for its elite and our government. What does that tell you? Just some thought. Just, some food for thought. China too.
For all kinds of missions. So definitely a lot is happening with Russia and China, the United States, as well as North Korea. But let's move on and talk about Israel and Iran.
Here we go.
Just a few days ago, the Daily Mail reported that Iran is set to send its warships to the Gulf of Mexico in a bid to establish itself as a global military power. The audacious move has been announced by Iran's naval commander. He said he intends to add submarines to the Iranian fleet's ranks in a move that could give the U.S. cause to fear a new Cold War with the Middle Eastern power. The Tasnim agency stated that speaking in his first press conference after taking the office, the Navy commander stated that Iran's naval forces will soon go to the Atlantic Ocean, visit some South American countries, and wave the Iranian flag in the Gulf of Mexico. Tasman also reported that the Navy's Sapar missile-launching corvette will head to the Caspian Sea next week. And the Daily Star is reporting that Iran has issued a chilling threat to Europe, warning it will increase its missile range so rockets can be launched at the continent. The deputy head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard warned that it may increase the range of missiles to over 2,000 kilometers, enough to strike Europe. The general stated, if we have kept the range of our missiles to 2,000 kilometers, it's not due to lack of technology. We are following a strategic doctrine. So far, we have felt that Europe is not a threat, so we did not increase the range of our missiles. But if Europe wants to turn into a threat, we will increase the range of our missiles. His comments come after France called for an uncompromising dialogue with the Islamic Republic about its ballistic missiles program. But Iran has repeatedly said its missile program is defensive and it will not negotiate on that. The United States has accused Tehran of supplying Yemen's Houthi rebels with a missile that was fired into Saudi Arabia in July.
False flag.
It has called on the United Nations to hold the country accountable for violating 2 UN Security Council resolutions. Iran has denied supplying the Houthis with missiles, and weapons. It goes on further to state that the Major General of the Revolutionary...
How about we mind our fucking business for once? How about we put America first for once? Remember that from Trump? America first. We're not going to spend all this, blah, blah, blah. No, we got more troops in Afghanistan now. We got them all over. Yep, going to Africa. Got them all over in North Korea. Now we're going after Iran with Israel and Saudi Arabia. Yep, that's putting America first as we guard poppy fields. Yet we load up the opium epidemic in the United States every day. Yes, that's what we're doing, putting America first, not...
Guard had stated last month that Iran's 2,000-kilometer missile range could already cover most of American interests and forces within the region. The Jerusalem Post is reporting that Israel has vowed to destroy Iranian positions within 40 kilometers of the Syrian border.
Pay attention. I said this a month before it happened. And right up to it, I said, watch Israel. It's going to threaten Iran, and that's what's going to start, and they're going to start bombing Iran via Hezbollah and that in Syria. We have troops in Africa, all over. This is the real big picture going on. Not whether Hillary Clinton's emails were opened and not opened. Yeah. No. That's going to do what for the United States? Zero. Obama's birth certificate is going to do what for the United States? Zero. Zero. Nada. Zippo. But millions of people every day argue, Obama's not the real U.S. citizen. And that means what? Well, if we prove that, then everything he did will not be in law. Yeah, okay. Pack your shit. Obama's been a plant for a long time for New World Order, groomed all the way up to where it is. You see anything change? No. Nothing. So instead, millions of people will stress over this, and Trump will throw this shit out, too, to get those far-righters out there just going, oh, yeah, get Hillary. Yeah, Hillary's got to go to jail. That's justice. That's not going to stop what's happening to you, Trump. That's not going to stop what's happening to Hillary, what's going to come with the Uranium One when it gets there. Sorry. That's why all these people arguing what's really going on and what's going to help America. Pay attention. Men and women will be dying soon in wars around the world. Trust what I tell you. Already are, but on a much larger scale. People, there's not going to be no civil war at home. There's going to be major war abroad. Nah, see? Hillary, Trump, Pizzagate, get him. Those 4,000 sealed indictments, they're all against Hillary Clinton. That's Trump's follow the white rabbit. Fuck. Yikes. Pack your shit, nutcases. Holy fuck. Yikes.
A Kuwait newspaper revealed on Sunday that an Israel source disclosed a promise from Jerusalem to destroy all Iranian facilities within 40 kilometers of Israel's Golan Heights. The source, who remains unnamed, said that during Syrian President Bashar Assad's surprise visit to Russia last week, Assad gave Russian President Putin a message for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Damascus will agree to a demilitarized zone of up to 40 kilometers from the border in the Golan Heights as part of a comprehensive agreement between the two countries, but only if Israel does not work to remove Assad's regime from power. The report also claims that Putin then called Netanyahu to relay the message, and that the Israel Prime Minister said he would be willing to accept the deal, but that Israel's goal of eradicating Iran and Hezbollah from the country would remain. It goes on further to state that Israel has...
Pay attention. So it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything because Israel wants to go to war with Iran. It's not Iran wanting to keep pressuring Israel. It's the United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia who want Iran out of the picture. That is the end game in the Middle East. That's the truth. They want war. They want to just destroy Iran. It's that simple.
Participated in responding to fire in the northern border and occasionally bombing positions, including a weapons depot and scientific research center that allegedly produces chemical weapons. Damascus and Jerusalem.
There are no chemical weapons being produced in Syria. Please pay attention. It is the biggest hoax of them all. I covered the last chemical attack, and hundreds of experts across the country agreed with me. It was fake. There was no chemical attack by Assad and Russia. Putin got furious over that. One thing, Putin may be a gangster, but he's not into chemical weapons, I can assure you. Nuclear, yes. Chemical, no.
Have exchanged heated remarks as well, with Netanyahu threatening to bomb Assad's palace and Syrian officials warning of dangerous repercussions to Israel's strikes on Syrian targets. Over the course of the war, Israel has operated several field hospitals near the Syrian border where those injured from the war are treated and subsequently returned to Syria. Some of those who have been treated have been rebels fighting against the Assad regime, leading some to say that Israel is assisting the rebels to unseat.
Yes, they are. Israel... The United States created ISIL, ISIS, and they back them, give them the weapons. They even, as they should tell you, hospitals, patch them up, send them back out. Proxy war, filled in by us. Womp, 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 womp. Because we wanted to rip Assad for power, blame him for chemical, using chemical weapons against his own people, and that the whole world would hate him. Nikki Haley up there, use chemical weapons. The man did not use chemical weapons. And he's the only one in the area protecting Christians, just so all of you know that. Just so you all know that.
Assad. So definitely some very heated headlines within the last few days. I wanted to bring you guys a really quick military news update and get you caught.
Bravo. I must agree.
I'm Martin Brennan. I designed the B2. It's a jukebox. It can hold 5,000.
This is Skywatch Media News, final week of November 2017.
I'm playing this for you for a reason.
There is a great deal of immense activity happening around the Ring of Fire this month, which has both seismologists and volcanologists on pins and needles. On November 27th, a code red alert was set into motion on the resort island of Bali, where the restless Mount Agung volcano has been spewing volcanic ash with increasing intensity since November 21st. With heightened seismic activity and confirmation that the volcano is shifting into a magmatic phase.
Sorry, guys.
And volcanologists on pins and needles. On November 27th, a code red alert was set into motion on the resort island of Bali, where the restless Mount Agung volcano has been spewing volcanic ash with increasing intensity since November 21st. With heightened seismic activity and confirmation that the volcano is shifting into a magmatic phase, authorities have issued a warning to 100,000 individuals who are living in proximity to the volcano to evacuate the area. Mount Agung has been spewing ash continuously, accompanied by explosive eruptions, with thunderous sounds being heard as far as 7.5 miles from the summit. The danger zone is dynamic and is being continuously evaluated. The last major eruption of this volcano was in January of 1963, measuring 5 out of 7 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index, and was responsible for the deaths of 1,600 people. This is a big one, with big implications for Indonesia and the South Pacific, where the potential for a catastrophic eruption is imminent. Meanwhile, closer to home, the Popocatépetl volcano, located in Mexico, saw its strongest eruption in 4 years during Thanksgiving of 2017. The explosion was so strong that it was registered from seismic stations located as far away as 12 kilometers from the base of the volcano. Here is the video capture of this holiday eruption in real time, taken from the Webcam de Mexico on November 23rd. Earlier this month, the deadliest earthquake so far in 2017 hit at the border of Iran and Iraq, registering a magnitude 7.3. According to geological officials in Japan, this seismic event was so significant that it actually raised the surface of the ground nearly 3 feet, or roughly 90 centimeters, as shown by these images captured from the land observation satellite Dachi 2. The officials say their analysis suggests the ground sank up to 30 centimeters near the epicenter. Land rose 10 to up to 90 centimeters over a stretch of about 80 kilometers south of the epicenter.
Yikes. Pay attention. You're going to see this get worse and worse and worse over the next 6 to 12 months. And I mean worse. All over the globe.
The officials say the data is almost in line with analysis by the USGS. The U.S. agency said seismic waves indicated the quake was caused by reverse faulting, in which layers of rock shift at an angle. Data suggests the ground swelled by about 40 centimeters in western Iran, where many buildings collapsed. Large ground deformation appears to have caused the powerful tremor. This is yet another indication that powerful forces are at work that will forever change the landscape of our world. Right here in our own backyard, there are reports surfacing from FEMA that the worst natural disaster in the nation's history now has a 1 in 3 chance of happening. I'm referring to the Pacific Northwest, which includes Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver. It is known as the Cascadia Subduction Zone, and it is a much larger threat to the nation as a whole, irrespective of the Yellowstone caldera or the New Madrid Fault Zone. This fault zone is where the Juan de Fuca Plate meets the North American Plate, which stretches for 700 miles from Vancouver Island to Northern California. Periodically in its history, an event called a full margin rupture occurs, which is as devastating as one could imagine. The last event of this magnitude occurred back in 1700. A
1700.
tremendous earthquake so large that it created a massive tsunami that wiped out a large section of coastal Japan, which is thousands of miles across the Pacific.
Pay attention. I fully believe and sense that in 2018, Japan is going to end up, majority of it, underwater. Massive event coming to Japan. Fully see it.
FEMA continues to indicate that the Pacific Northwest is overdue for another disaster of epic proportions. An earthquake that could reach 9 or 10 on the Richter scale. When this happens, cities such as Seattle, Vancouver, and Portland will suffer what is described as the worst natural calamity in the history of North America. Now, if you were to consider how epic this event could be, FEMA has indicated that at the very least, tens of thousands of people would die. There would be more than 1 million homeless, and 2.5 million would be in desperate need of food and medical supplies. So the chances of a big earthquake happening there at any given moment stands at 1 in 3.
It's coming.
While the chances of an apocalyptic earthquake in the range of 9 or 10 on the scale stands at 10 to 1. In either scenario, the odds of this happening in our lifetime are very good, which should keep those who live in these regions a reason to worry or to cause sleepless nights. There is an equally dangerous region outside of the Pacific Northwest that has the very real potential to cause havoc to a sector of the country. Back in 1811 and in the following year of 1812, a series of over 1,000 earthquakes rocked the Mississippi River between St. Louis and Memphis.
Big one coming there.
The quakes were so powerful that they caused the river to run backwards for a period of time. That was over 200 years ago. Today, scientists are saying that the New Madrid seismic zone, which is more than 120 miles long, has at least a 40% chance of a terrifying blast in our near future that would severely affect these 5 states. The shaking would be felt well beyond this region. Ultimately, a devastating blow in this area would damage more than 700,000 buildings and would leave more than 2.5 million people without power for an extended time. Unlike California, which has been hit by a number of powerful earthquakes since 1906, the New Madrid fault area has been sitting idly by for more than 200 years. Because of this, those people who reside in the bordering states around the fault zone are not properly prepared for a major earthquake. And the infrastructure that is in disrepair and crumbling in this area will not withstand the impact of a major seismic event. Even more discerning than the 40% chance of an earth-shaking event is that the fault has an impact zone which is 10 times as big as the San Andreas Fault. And this, much like the Cascadia Zone, is a disaster in waiting.
Sure is.
When measuring the intensity of the 1811 earthquake in the New Madrid region, using what is known as the Mercalli intensity scale between 1 and 10, where 1 is instrumental and 10 is disastrous, the USGS determined that the area that experienced damaging earth motion equal to or greater than 7 was estimated to be around 600,000 square kilometers, whereas shaking greater than 5 occurred in an area of 2.5.
Pay attention. Nice Kansas right over here. Right over here. Never thought I'd be saying I want to go to Kansas. I want to go to Kansas. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. Kansas, military, nuclear, protected bunkers. Right there.
5 million square kilometers. So again, the effects of an earthquake of greater magnitude can be felt far and wide, which was the case with the earthquake of 1811 and 1812. So for our viewers and subscribers who live in these seismically active regions of the country, it is imperative that you have an earthquake plan. My recommendation is that you do not wait too long on this.
Amen.
Seismic and volcanic events are building up to a point where anything can and will happen. And being prepared may be the difference between being safe or being sorry. The earth is shifting beneath our feet, and with this reality comes the obvious observations of a crustal movement. We are seeing on an almost daily basis across the globe the ground opening and swallowing everything in its path. The latest example can be found in Brazil, where a giant crater measuring more than 20 meters, which is some 65 feet, suddenly and without warning opened up on November 5th. This is another sign that the ground around us is shifting as the Earth's inner core heats up and as the outer core begins to expand. Now take a look at these astonishing photos of the immense sinkhole in Coromandel, Brazil, and consider, if you will, how insecure the ground beneath our feet has become, which is one of the reasons why I conclude the video presentations by saying that we should be mindful of our surroundings at all times.
Amen.
There was a phenomenal event in our not-so-distant past that severely affected many people in the American Midwest in the 1930s, at the peak of the Great Depression. And I'm not referring to the financial collapse, but rather to the environmental and humanitarian catastrophe that incurred as a result of the worst drought in U.S. history, which was called the American Dust Bowl. There are some people today who still believe that the Great American Dust Bowl was a once-in-a-generation event that is unlikely to occur in our future. But scientists are not so convinced.
Wow, look at that.
They now believe that the Dust Bowl is coming back, and this time its consequences will be felt for decades.
Pay attention. NASA map. NASA. Risk of U.S. mega drought increases. Yep.
The southwestern United States typically experiences a severe drought at least once and possibly twice in a century, which would suggest that the country is overdue for another dry event, considering that it has been almost 80 years since the end of the last great drought in the United States.
Oh, it's going to be coming because you're having a pole shift happen this time, and everything's changing this time. After this event, between now and 2023, in those ranges, nothing on this planet's going to be the same and in the same forecast, weather, everything. All totally different. As the magnetic poles shift, everything changes. And that's why you're seeing it all. And it's not going to go back to the way it was. There's no return, just so you all know this. The way life is as we know it, from the sun to the ocean to the land, it's never going to be the same. It's just going to continually change on this planet, and drastic changes.
The chance of a multi-decade drought hitting the heartland within the next century is upwards of 80%. A drought that could last 35 years could make the 1930s Dust Bowl seem trivial. So what would a megadrought look like in America's heartland? If you would picture the movie Mad Max, where toxic dust storms are raging across the region and making driving a deadly ordeal, the vast majority of trees have either died or are on the verge of dying, where farming and agriculture have become virtually impossible. Meantime, in the American West, a searing megadrought would cause massive water shortages, while wildfires would devastate states such as California and Arizona. This is precisely what scientists have anticipated will happen if a drought that supersedes the 1930 Dust Bowl were to actually occur. If we take time to observe our surroundings, we then begin to understand that the probability of a megadrought is becoming more likely at each turn. No one seems to be aware of this or concerned about it, but unless we beat the odds, that day will come. And
pay attention. I fully predict over the next 10 years, if we get past the 5, but over the next 10 years, you're going to see water become the most valued resource on this planet. Not oil, not gold, water. Clean drinking water. And they don't like to use, like they use in Israel and the Middle East, salt water, which we have. Most of our planet is, 70% of our planet is covered with ocean, where you desalinate and use salt water and turn it into fresh water. That's what we need in the United States. And California finally got it approved, the first desalination plant to turn ocean water into drinking water. Finally. That is the key to keeping the United States wet, is just simply using salt water and converting it into fresh water like they do in Israel and the Middle East.
And we should get ready. Not long ago, I mentioned how events on the Earth are behaving abnormally. In retrospect, our planet is behaving unpredictably, in a manner that we are unaccustomed to. As we move from one season to the next, we would expect the transition to happen normally.
Nope.
But this is not always the way it works. And this erratic behavior that we see today is progressively getting worse. A perfect example of such anomalous behavior was recently experienced on the island of Hawaii, where an unusual early snowstorm blanketed the top of the volcanic mountain of Mauna Kea with more than 8 inches of snow, saturating the summit with icy rain, as well as creating whiteout conditions. Although it is not uncommon for the highest volcanic summit on the Big Island to experience snowfall, where temperatures can drop well below freezing, but the timing is much earlier than anticipated, and so this anomalous weather event would yet again indicate that the Earth's climate is changing. With the winter solstice now approaching, we should remind ourselves just how quickly weather conditions can change, where unexpected circumstances can create havoc while catching many off guard. In 1913, an extraordinary event happened in the Great Lakes region. That year, an extratropical cyclone called the November Witch, where 2 storm tracks converged, was responsible for creating hurricane-force gales, whiteouts, and colossal waves. It was unlike any winter storms that those on the Great Lakes had ever seen. During a 4-day span, the so-called White Hurricane caused a dozen major shipwrecks, becoming the greatest U.S. inland maritime disaster to date. Cleveland and other major cities nearby were annihilated by the event, buried in many feet of snow. When the White Hurricane ended its spree, the death toll was over 250. Although this event was colossal in its development and in its aftermath, there was something positive that came out of the horrific storm. Because of the fact that everyone had been caught off guard by this disaster, this anomalous event led to rapid improvements in both storm preparedness and in weather predictions. It proved to be especially effective some 100 years later when Hurricane Sandy merged into a superstorm.
There it is.
If it had not
Hurricane
been for the
Sandy.
lessons learned in the White Hurricane of 1913, the effects of Hurricane Sandy along the Atlantic seaboard could have been far worse. As we move forward in our journey, there are many things yet to be learned. We must not forget our past, for history teaches us many things that we can use as building blocks for the future.
Yeah. Most
But
humans
if we
don't
fail to
listen.
adhere to the lessons that history taught us, then we are destined to repeat the same mistakes that our forefathers made many years ago. With so much happening in today's world, we must not turn a blind eye or a deaf ear to the changes that are happening on this fragile earth.
Bravo.
We must move forward with both an open mind and a pure heart. And so, my friends, stay informed, be mindful of your surroundings at all times, but most importantly, keep looking to the sky.
December 2nd, Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 2017. Here at the USGS, looking over the seismographs. This is one of my many pit stops I make daily. I'm usually here multiple times a day.
Pay attention to this story from my man here, Mr. MBB333. Love this guy.
Have been for over 10 years. This and the National Data Buoy Center. If you're truly and sincerely interested in the mechanics of Earth, the energy flow in and around our planet, these are two places that you will frequent all the time. You may not always understand what you're looking at, but you can look for trends. You can look for patterns. I don't really use these for earthquakes, just so you know. I look for anomalies. I'm looking for waves of energy that aren't associated with earthquakes. I know what these things are going to do when an earthquake happens. I want to know what's happening when I see energy on here when earthquakes aren't happening. That's why I come here. Like you're looking at this one here in Kabul, Afghanistan. That's more than likely a man-made ordinance that created
I was just going to say, a weapon,
wave on
a
the
blast.
seismograph. But we've learned something today. Not only have we been, and if you've been following my YouTube channel for even a few months or a few years, you know that we've traced many anomalies on these seismographs over the years.
Watch this.
This is one that we've been following.
Today,
I haven't been real.
Sunday, 12/3, Binghamton, New York. Data from station Binghamton, New York. Look at this. Today. Start 2017, 12:02. Saturday 2, Sunday 12/3, 17, 3:13 UTC time. Pay attention.
Really reporting on it too much. I pointed it out a couple of times, but New York is a very unusual place for seismic activity. This is not seismic activity. I don't know what it is. That's why I referred to earlier. This is a wealth of information.
Something is rising up from the earth. The earth is, something is rising, is what this is.
If you know what you're looking at. Well, check this out.
Here.
Some professors from Rutgers University are doing the same thing. I guess have been doing the same thing. They understand that reading these seismic waves, seismic energy on seismographs can be a wealth of information, especially if you're seeing things that are not related to earthquakes. That is indicative of another form of energy. They have found another form of energy. What is happening is,
listen,
warm, just as it says here, a mass of warm rock is rising beneath New England, a Rutgers University suggests. First of its kind, seismic study challenges textbook concepts of geology.
Boom.
I think it's a great challenge, and I think they're on the right path.
So do
This
I.
is a wealth of information. We've tracked waves going across the United States. In fact, I had a viewer today. This message is from today, just a few hours ago. They wish to remain anonymous, and that's fine. I'm going to respect that. But this is what they sent me. And I get this quite often.
I get it a lot.
On, but you might want to look for that pulse across the U.S. again. And that pulse she's talking about is on the seismographs. The dog and I experienced a really strange low vibration today. And I didn't see anything that pointed to a frequency that traveled across the United States. We have tracked them before, and you can see one will be in, let's just say, for instance, New York at 10 minutes past the hour, And then at 12 minutes past the hour, it would be in Ohio. At 14 minutes, it would be in Nebraska. And 17 minutes would be in California. And it's in the same hour block. So you've traced a energy wave across the country that was not an earthquake. And you can get a wealth of information from these buoys as well. And you're like,
they're all across
those are only
the world.
Tsunamis. Oh, no, they're not. These things are attached to the seafloor of Earth, much like seismographs are in the ground. So they're monitoring energy in the ground. That's not necessarily a tsunami, not necessarily an earthquake. And that's what these men have found here.
And this article just came out December 2nd.
Rutgers University. What they found is an upheaval of warm rock, and it is coming up right in this area right here.
Boom!
So that could explain.
Volcano sounded good to you? Warm rock. Volcano. Blows. Poof.
The anomalous readings we're seeing in New York, because I don't have any seismographs in New Hampshire or New England. Closest one is New York. So maybe that is what we're seeing here. Basically there's an upheaval of warm rock coming up through the crust of Earth. They're saying that it's going to take millions of years, but they just learned about this phenomenon here recently. So it may not take millions of years. You know, if you just learned about it, maybe it could be happening quicker. I don't know. But Levin is the professor. He thinks the upwelling pattern detected is largely beneath central Vermont, western New Hampshire, but it is also under western Massachusetts. It may represent, or it may be present elsewhere, but the study findings were based on available seismic.
Pay attention to this part. Right below that, the Atlantic margin of North America, listen, did not experience intense geological activity for nearly 200 million years, Levin said. It's now a so-called passive margin, a region where slow loss of heat within the earth and erosion by wind and water on the surface are the primary change agents. So we did not expect to find abrupt changes in physical properties beneath this region, and the likely explanation points to a much more dynamic regime underneath this old geological quiet area. Now let's take into play the earthquake of almost 5 and change in Delaware in the same region. Pay attention. I'm telling you.
Observations. We're interested in what happens in the interface between tectonic plates, thick solid parts that cover our planet, and the material in the upper mantle beneath the plate.
You're going to see such events across the globe over the next few years. You're going to see, I'm telling you, entire continents just shift and come up where there was water before and then up. Watch. And you're going to see the largest water rise in 2018 than we've ever seen before. And it's going to continue to get worse from there. Watch.
States, Levin said, we want to see how North America is gliding over the deeper parts of our planet. It is a very large and relatively stable region, but we found an irregular pattern with rather abrupt changes. And here is a...
Oh, you're going to get changes, all right, all over the globe.
High-resolution image of, or this is a
that's lava under there. Trust what I tell you.
From inside the Earth. So that could be the culprit to what's making these anomalies on these seismographs that we're seeing around the United States, and it's not just limited to the Northeast. We see this all across the country randomly. It's very unpredictable. So it could be something like, he said it's not a volcano, which there are no volcanoes there.
I think it's a volcano.
But it's behaving like one.
It's behaving like one. I'm telling you.
Inside
I believe it's a volcano. And that's how volcanoes start.
Massachusetts and Vermont. And they learned this from seismographs. Isn't that interesting? I'm very impressed, and very great article. I'll post the link in the description box.
I'll put the link to this as well.
It's a very interesting read. Good job, guys. Thanks for watching, folks.
Boom. Now, one more quick one for a
Sunday, December 3rd, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 2017. Yesterday, we talked about a discovery from Rutgers University. A team of professors, through energy readings that they discovered on seismographs.
Look at that one.
Across the United States
today
and around the world, but they primarily focused on North America. They discovered energy anomalies, and we've watched these ourselves. Like what we're seeing right here, this black, that's a classic earthquake. This, however, is not. What they determined through their studies was that this energy that they were seeing on these seismographs,
like I said, volcano.
was rock, warm rock, being pushed up to the surface of Earth, and that it was rising underneath the Earth near New England, Massachusetts, and Vermont, but it probably wasn't limited to there. But there's energy rising from below the surface of Earth, and there's also energy being detected above Earth's atmosphere.
Boom!
This video put up by Secure Team 10. If you haven't heard of Secure Team 10, come check out his YouTube channel and subscribe. He does a great job. In this video here, he is discussing a anomaly on the livemeteors.com website. And what this instrument does, it detects any movement of any type of object, mainly meteors, that enter the atmosphere from high above Earth.
What have I been telling you? You're going to see an uptick in meteors, fireballs, etc.
Not things that are already in the atmosphere, things that are entering the atmosphere. He detected an anomaly on December 2nd. And with respect to this video and this anomaly, I've found an anomaly myself. This was referred to me by a viewer named Lena. And this is an anomaly in the Schumann resonance of Earth, also on December 2nd.
What have I told you about Earth's frequency changing? Meaning the entire planet's frequency changing from within. I.e., that is the magnetic poles. Frequency change on the planet. I just have been saying it. Now listen to this.
And you can see these strange energy signatures here. That's not normal. That's not hardly ever seen on this instrument. And
no.
I look at it all the time. That's the first time I've ever seen that on here. So it is consistent, at least within the time frame of Secure Team's video about the energy in Earth's atmosphere. And that's what this detects, is energy around the Earth.
And if you know, the sun has been giving off massive solar eruptions, flares, whomp, and sending them to the Earth. Foomp. Well, and meteors. I mean, lots of meteors have been coming into play as well, and asteroids coming very close to the planet.
In the form of what they call Schumann resonance. It's a frequency. The frequency was interrupted right here, as you can see. Well, this was December 2nd, just like in Tyler's video. It's Secure Team. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It is an interesting energy signature that is definitely not a meteor. But once again, it happened on December 3rd. Check it out. Turn your speakers down. I've got this down as low as I can get it, but this is at livemeteors.com.
It's loud. I'm turning it down.
See another energy anomaly associated with the atmosphere, but watch. Okay, get ready.
Here it comes.
That is very unusual, and you can see the horizontal.
That's a lot of energy.
Entry at first, then it appears to be vertical. That's just the nature of the instrument, and that is very loud. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. But yeah, that's definitely no meteor.
No.
And this was December 3rd, just within the last few hours. And this goes on for quite a while.
It'll probably
Definitely
disappear after this, so
not a
save this
meteor.
video. Trust me.
this you can come check out if you like. I'm going to stop that because that can actually.
And this is above Earth. This is right above Earth.
And I haven't drank in over a decade. But anomalies there.
I had this time to have a drink too.
It's on December 2nd.
Something just entered our atmosphere that's quite large. Just so everybody knows. That's what that is. And it's not a meteor because of the way it's behaving. Because I've seen them, read them before.
And you can see those are definitely not consistent with the energy patterns that you normally see on this particular graph. And that's the Schumann resonance anomaly. We're seeing anomalies in seismographs around the world. And that is telling us that there is some sort of a energy anomaly inside the Earth.
And above the Earth.
Above the Earth. And times are getting more and more interesting as we move.
We're running out of time. That's what's becoming interesting that people need to pay attention to. I'm telling you, we're running out of time. And it's not going to be pretty as all this breaks out over the next few years. I'm telling you. And I will warn everybody until people get it. And I'm telling you now, I'm not moving to Kansas for no reason. At least to say, Dorothy, we're not in Kansas anymore. Well, my ass is going to Kansas. Just saying.
Move forward one day at a time. So thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed to Tyler's YouTube
subscribe
channel,
to him. He's awesome. I'll leave the link in my description below. Thank you, Mr. MBB333. So, when you put all this into reality, a lot more going on than just Hillary's emails and Donald Trump's Russia. Just saying. That's the real shit going on the planet. That no one's going to tell you. CNN's not going to come across, and by the way, for the first time ever, we have this great anomaly. Something just entered our atmosphere. Womp. And it's caught on the meteor device. Why do you think we are investing in MFA Survival Group and MFA Atlas Cities? And believe me, 30 years of building experience, we are going to make these incredible above and below ground self-sustaining communities. And we're going to get them built fast. I'm not fucking around. I'm telling you that. And the people that are behind this and with us and members part of this, we're going to get it done. Okay? Because I'm telling you now, time is of the essence, and location is key to your survival. Preparation is key to your survival. And most of all, key to your survival is knowing what's real and what's not real. What I just showed you is real. Real news, true shit going on. What's with this Rory person in here? Who is this Rory? Out. Gone. Who, just so everybody knows, I have the list here. We gave people the last opportunity to sign. Those not are gone. And those not signed in this group, and we've hired a private, just so you know, a private top vetting agency, i.e. investigate. What they do is for government employees. Okay? And I don't care about felonies unless they're violent or drug. Okay? I care about people who they're tied to and elect to get into this group. And anyone else that's been in here that's been cooperating with the haters, I will be at our corporate offices in Las Vegas Tuesday, big meeting, attorneys Wednesday, and authorities. We're actually going down to the prosecutor's office in Nevada because I and our people have had enough. And we don't care what it costs. Not only is a civil action with an injunction coming, but criminal. Because these people have crossed all boundaries. Pay attention. whoever this person is, and we are no longer going to be doing vetting. This company will be starting next week. That's great, Susie. Many people are participating in Atlas City and Survival Group. Survival Group is a highly vetted group of serious people. Same thing with people who want to live in Atlas City and one of the condos and or homes that are being built there, going to be built there. Yes, Vicky, Dawn has been working her butt off too. Obviously, someone let in this Rory, whoever this person is, and I did not get to see it. Yes, Claudette, we have MFA Survival Group and Atlas City. You'll be able to just go to mfaofficial.com. You'll be able to click the icon that's on there. I will show you. Give me a second. And our major private forum is this logo right here. You'll see the logo with the leaves. You can see, hang on, I'm sorry. And Rory, if you think you're getting your money back, have another idea. Pack your shit. You'll be able to go, just click on these icons on here, and they'll bring you right to the websites. This one right down here is the MFA private forum. No one gets into this unless they have signed and are vetted. MFA socials for the public. This is Atlas City right here. And then you'll see Survival Group right here in the beginning. Okay? Liz sent you a friend request. Well, get rid of them. This is what I'm trying to tell you. This is why we're going private. And you know what the sad part is? Is that this is how the world is today. You have psychotic haters. It doesn't matter what happens. And you know what? I hate to say this. I'm a nice guy. But you know what? When the shit hits the fan, I hope half these assholes are right in its path. Okay? And I don't wish harm on anybody. You know what? But half of these assholes are that psychotic. Hopefully, a tsunami or an earthquake sucks them right in. No joke. Because you know what? These people don't deserve anything less. Because they're straight assholes. And they are rude to people. They are disrespectful to people. And they don't care about anybody but themselves. Somebody laughed at my daughter's picture today. Okay? Another hater. Laughed at my daughter's picture today. And said something horrible about her with her shop. Okay? And you know what? That crosses all lines with me. Don't fuck with kids. That really tells you about something like Lisa Keys, Dana Hens Falls, Diana Rapavi, Karen. I mean, we can go down the line. There's top 5 to 10 assholes. Okay? And Lisa and Dana just don't get it. They're going to get it. Because we've been building this case for over a year. Over a year. And the psychotic people still don't want to pay attention to legal cease and desist, harass our lawyers, come out now with some crazy-ass video, allegedly, harass my kid, her mother, Dawn, members, everybody. I can assure you, Lisa, Dana, if you don't think a Nevada prosecutor is going to prosecute you for everything that you've done and what you recently came out with, it's a crime. And you're not going to blackmail me with some video that doesn't exist and the like and make shit up. And you're not going to try to go public and do your thing. You're going to go to jail. I remember a prosecutor that was like you. And you know where he is now? On the fucking unemployment line. I remember a police chief just like you, Dana. Said, Scott, you're going to jail for 25 to 50 years, kicking my doors in. Guess what? I never went to jail. I never got arrested for a crime. And he's out of a job. Thanks to me. You're a small fish to this. To me. So pay attention. I'm a respectful, caring person, but don't mistake kindness for weakness. You people are fucking nuts. And you're not going to harass me, my family, or members anymore. Trust what I tell you. The end of the line has come. We followed every legal guideline that we have to, and you've been legally warned. And you still can't get it through your thick heads because you are obsessed, psychotic individuals. Now it's time to pay the price since you can't get it through your thick fucking skulls. Legally and publicly, you are going to be shamed. Trust me. Pay attention. Trust me, they will be gone. I gave some, it had nothing to do with haters, some others who did not receive this contract the opportunity to sign, but now that's it. Tomorrow, they exit. And no one's getting back in, even those who come after that sign, until they are fully vetted. These people are not well. And you know what? The few of them, the group, flock together. And there's no rationalizing. There's no showing. There's no telling. It doesn't matter. Everything's fake and a prop to them and made up. And they're so obsessed. I mean, they stalk my kid. They stalk her mother. All over the internet. They stalk Dawn. They stalk me. They visit LinkedIn profiles of myself every day. Every day. Not once a day, sometimes twice a day, our profiles. We can track it all. Every profile, every page, everything. Their IP addresses on Twitter, everything. We got it all. The pattern is so bad. The documents are like this thick. My lawyers, the lawyers for MFA, you know what they plan on doing? They plan on going to the judge with the stack of shit and the proof and the videos and go, here, womp. You want a case, Your Honor? They even harassed us, the lawyers. Okay? So pay attention. Save this video, like the rest of them. What's wrong with these people? People ask. Never ask what's wrong with someone who's psychotic. You can't explain when people are mentally ill. There is no other explanation for these few people. Birds of a feather flock together. Dana's already been arrested once for acute harassment by someone else. It tells you their mindset. Lisa really belongs in a straitjacket. And we have some new information that they might be being fed and paid. Okay? I don't know whether that's true or not. Listen, I don't mind. I'm a public figure since I was in my 20s, okay? I don't mind normal shit, doing whatever, making memes, doing shit. I could care less, okay? I'm a man. But when you start messing around and constantly for a year stalking myself, my family, certain members, things like that, I got a problem with that. A big one. Stop worrying whether they're gone or not. I'm taking care of that. I have a reason for what I'm doing, please. Okay? I have a reason. They will be out tomorrow. And there's some that have signed. People dumb have signed. 2 people have signed who are haters. Now that you've signed that contract, pay attention. You're going to the curb and you're going to the lawyers. Pay attention. You should exit now before I exit you. No, they don't have jobs. They don't do anything. They come after me, just stalk me, my family, my kid. They think everything. These people are delusional. Delusional. They even told the Secret Service, Lisa did, that back, I don't know, months ago, when in the middle of the summer we were having a march in Washington, that the MFA Underground, before it was even open, we were planning on killing Obama. That's how crazy this world Lisa Keys is. I was laughing hysterical, so was the Secret Service. Yes, Susie, it can be very dangerous. Lisa and Dana and Diana Rapavi, these top ones there, they are dangerous. They are dangerous individuals. Listen to what I'm telling you. These are psychotic people. The behavior and the stuff, you should see the threats that I've gotten from this crazy bitches. Okay? These crazy people. They're on my phone. The authorities, listen, madness. I mean, complete and utter madness. No haters will be here. No haters will be in the private group, the new forum, I can assure you. There's always going to be public haters, but this is different. You want to hate and say stupid shit, that's fine. That's fine. That comes with the territory. But when you go above and beyond that to it's a daily regimen and making false posts, false stories, stalking my kid, her mom, Dawn, myself, other people in my family, etc., and putting out far outrageous lies and doctoring photos and documents and shit, big problem with that. Making false criminal complaints, not one, bump. All bullshit. They have taken hate to a whole new level. It's not hate. This is acute criminal stalking and harassment. And it's overwhelming. You're talking about people who are, and it's a group, it's not, there's 5 to 10 exact of these, but the top 5, okay, are really wacky people. And I've followed every legal, legitimate, public rule to do this, and now we're at that point. They've gotten cease and desist from me, then our lawyers. Now the next hammer comes. And it's cost thousands of dollars, and the next hammer that's coming is worth the money. And then we have to take the time out to put all the evidence together, get it over to the lawyers like we did, go through the whole thing. This time I got to sign this stuff. They're going to file the next phase with the injunction. And I'm taking everything that they got. They got no money, but I'm going to take anything and everything that they got. Save this for the judge. Jackie, I don't even know these people. Okay? People ask, why are they doing this to you, Scott? Let me ask you all a question. Why do some stalkers decide to stalk Donald Trump and make shit up about Trump? Why do people stalk Hillary Clinton? Why do people stalk stars? Why do people stalk and do whatever they do and harass others? There is no explanation for people who are not right in the head. I don't even know these people. I don't even know these people. People go, is that your ex-girlfriend? I'm like, what are you, nuts? And they go, well, you must have some kind of tie for them to hate you that way. No, I don't. I don't even know these people. Don't even know them. I don't get it either. Well, I do get it. There's psychotic people in the world. Why do people do anything that they do? Don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. They even bothered our CFO. Wrote to her boss. Okay? She had to get a lawyer involved to get them to stop. They just are miserable, not well-based people. Unhinged. Perfect word, Dale. Unhinged. Unhinged. And you know what? And people go, oh yeah, what do you need another? We got to do 10 grand to lawyers? Well, guess what? That's why. And you know what? Now they have to go to the next level. And then the next level. And that's that. Nothing else to do. They will take your, these people have gone out of their way to try to destroy and do anything with myself, MFA, and the like. Just so you know. Just anything. They failed miserably, but it's not the point. It's the constant harassment. And my kids are not going to take this shit. I'm not going to allow it to happen anymore. They're not going to say horrible shit about their father that the kids can see on the internet and then follow them around it too, what they're doing and the like. Okay? Or my daughter's mom, or Dawn, or anyone that I care and love about. Not happen, nor my members, nor this organization. Not happening with me. I'm not a guy to fuck with. I'm going to say it straight, and this is going public, this video. I am not a person to fuck with. I am a good person, a very caring person, intelligent person, but guess what? I've been down every road that there is, including death. You want to fuck with me? You better come with everything that you have, and I'll still publicly and legally crush you, like I have everybody else in my path who has tried. Why? Because I've been innocent. That's why. Only innocent people can smash the people that are in their way and come out victorious and show. Because I will show the corruption. And if I'm guilty of something, I will happily tell you. And I've made many mistakes in my life. period. But I'm a good person, I work very hard, and I'm quite sincere about what I do, and my intentions are always good. That's the difference between a fraud, a con, a criminal. They have criminal intent. Not me, never in my life. I've worked hard since the day I left home at 15 and even before that. End of story. I got nothing else to say. Now, you will see a reduction of several people in this group by tomorrow. I gave some the other opportunity, good people, not other members, and that. And yes, Ted, I fully believe God is with me. Because you know what? I couldn't do this alone. And someone is with me, and it has to be God and everyone else that follows me and helps and supports MFA and this, because I'm not stopping. Nothing's going to stop me but God, and that'll be when I die. And I've been there too. So you want to take me out? Go ahead. That's nothing of fear to me because I'm not afraid to die. Good night, and God bless.